What is going on, world? What's up, everyone? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new StarCraft 2 video. This one was played at Blizzcon 2018, which of course is the global finals of StarCraft 2, spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner of Lost and Found LE, playing with the blue Terran pieces. He's very well known in the StarCraft 2 pro scene as being one of the best Terran players out there on the circuit. His name is SpeCial. And his opponent, spawning in the cross position, playing with the red Protoss pieces. He is also very well known and one of the best players playing with the Protoss pieces on the planet. His name is Classic. So, guys and girls, I am very excited about this game and this series in particular, which was played at, of course, BlizzCon, which of course is, you know, the biggest event of the year for these players, and I am extremely excited to see what each of these players decides to do here in game number 1. And right off the bat, we are seeing SpeCial going for that proxy barracks across the map. But then this is something that's very, has become so common in the ZVP matchup, Terran players going across the map and going, and you know, getting that, trying to go ahead and just try to throw their opponent a little bit off guard, get that Reaper out a little bit early, or maybe a different unit. Depends on how aggressive they want to get with it. But that being said, guys, this is a matchup of mind games, and that's what I love so much about it. And this was played in Group D of the group stages of BlizzCon 2018, and so every one of these games does, of course, matter tremendously, because if you win these games, you can essentially move on to that. If you play well, of course, in the group stages, you move on to that bracket play, which is essentially the playoffs, and then you have a chance at the quarterfinals, possibly the semifinals, and then the grand finals, which is the big one, of course. SpeCial's going to go ahead and try to place a bunker here in the natural expansion, or where the natural expansion generally would be. And interestingly enough, Classic seems to just be kind of allowing this to possibly happen. Looks like there is going to be a Stargate that is going to be coming up now in that main base location of our Protoss player, but it does look like SpeCial very well might be able to get, if he micros properly, may very well have a chance at getting a couple of units. It does not look like too much damage was dealt, but kind of keeping Classic on his toes is definitely something that you may want to do. This is actually just going to essentially just delay the Protoss player getting that natural base expansion. We are going to see the factory on the low ground here, and we're going to start seeing some Widow Mines coming out of that factory. And we are going to start seeing, you know, kind of the transition now for SpeCial going into that natural, getting that natural command center started, and then we see a, you know, a couple, we see a barracks that's going to be floating in here shortly, as well as that starport's going to be coming in as well. So as we're you know, approaching, you know, passing, I should say, that 3-minute mark, you know, this game's going to get very interesting really quickly, I believe. Does look like that natural nexus is going down right now. And this is a best-of-3 series, guys. And so, you know, like I was saying, every game does matter in these big series. You know, even though they're the group stages, they're still massive, because this is, of course, the biggest tournament of the year for these players. So you definitely are going to have to try, you know, your very best, of course, at all times, trying to try to, you know, outsmart your opponent and win these group stage matchups. So there is going to be a Cyclone that is going to be waiting for that Oracle that comes across the map here. We are going to see the robotics facility coming in, as well as the Warp Gate is being researched. And we are going to start seeing another gateway coming in. That natural nexus is now just finishing up, so Classic is probably going to start trying to get fully saturated on 2 bases. We are going to see a Viking now out on the playing field. Should be able to shoo away at some of these units. We are going to see that Reaper once again coming into that main base location and is pretty much shut down almost immediately. That Viking is kind of flying around looking for some oracles, but these oracles are going to come in here and could get potentially a couple of pickups right off the bat. It does look like they are going to go right after a couple of those, and luckily the reaction time is very good there by SpeCial, who goes ahead and has a couple of Cyclones in position. So we do see another couple of barracks that are going to be coming in. I do like this Raven switch. That we're going to see some Ravens, or probably just one Raven, but we might see a couple here in this game. Ravens are very good for detection, of course. And then it looks like we're also going to see some siege tanks coming in once we're going to start seeing some siege tanks. So it looks like kind of somewhat of a mech build for SpeCial. Twilight Council is going to be coming in for our Protoss player, as well as a Forge. So we're going to start seeing those +1/+1, or I should say just really the ground-based, most likely, upgrades from our Protoss player. I wouldn't anticipate, possibly, if he goes for another expansion here, which he is going to be doing shortly, maybe putting up a couple of photon cannons may be a smart decision. But we probably will start seeing some of those upgrades coming in here relatively shortly. The same can be said, though, for SpeCial, who is going to start up +1 immediately for the ground-based units out of that engineering bay. We're also going to see Stimpack being researched. And, you know, like I said, guys, we're starting to kind of, you know, both players giving each other a lot of respect. We have passed the 6-minute mark now, and a lot of these upgrades are starting to come in. Blink is being researched out of the Twilight Council, and then the +1 upgrades for ground-based units is being researched right now for our Protoss player. We're also going to see a bunch more gateways being created right now, and so I think both these players, they're giving each other so much respect. It feels like there's a very good chance we may you know, just see a very standard macro-focused game. It does look like SpeCial is going to start possibly moving out here slowly with this army composition that he has of Marines, Cyclones, a Siege Tank, and then, of course, a Raven. So, you know, I love when SpeCial gets aggressive, because he is one of those players, or Terran players, that really tends to start to put on significant pressure, but not in just one place, in multiple places at once. And if he can pick up a couple of these Cyclones for practically free, that would be absolutely huge. It does look like that Raven is going to shoo away a lot of those units. That Raven almost went down, though. The Raven's starting to move very far up. That Raven gets picked off. A little bit of some missed micro there by SpeCial. Does look like SpeCial is going to start moving forward towards that third base location of our Protoss player. Looks like there's going to be plenty here for the Protoss player, trying to split up that army by those force fields. Beautiful play, but the pickup micro is on point by SpeCial so far. So, beautiful play so far by both of these players, trying to just kind of buy themselves a little bit. You know, Classic's really trying to buy himself some time here. It does look like some of those Stalkers are going to try to start moving forward. Got to be very careful with this army composition, though. There is a Siege Tank, but there is definitely not enough here for the Terran player to really move in, I do not believe. There is Immortals, Stalkers, as well as Sentries. So this is kind of a scary army composition. Some of these Stalkers are going to go right after that Siege Tank, going ahead and getting rid of that Siege Tank. And now it looks like SpeCial is going to have to, at this point in the game, go home. But at the same time, the Blink Stalkers moving forward, doing a little bit of some damage to some of those Marauders as well as some of those Marines. And it looks like Classic is now going to continue moving forward. Very well done here by Classic. You do not want to overextend, though, if you are Classic. I think he won that first engagement for sure, without question. But that being said, you know, you do not want to overextend. Does look like we are going to see, you know, Charge being researched right now for Classic. We see a War Prism that's going to be coming out here relatively shortly. And, you know, now that this third command center is down and mining, SpeCial may have a chance to kind of start transitioning, figuring out what exactly he wants to do in the later stages of this game. Because, you know, as we're approaching that 10-minute mark, you know, both players giving each other a lot of respect to a degree. I think SpeCial now feels maybe that, you know, might be a little bit of some urgency to start putting on pressure across the map, which is what he's so well known for. Is this drop play of SpeCial is absolutely incredible. Some of the best, if not the best, drop play by a Terran player, you know, in the world. He is very well known for his drop play with the Terran pieces. Very nice Widow Mine placement here, keeping this army kind of on their toes. And it does look like now we are going to see the big drop into that main base location by our Terran players, going right after that forge. It looks like that forge is going to go down. Beautiful pickup by our Terran player, but it does look like, oh, one of those medevacs does go down. Massive pickup there by Classic. But at the same time, you know, infantry armor level 1 is now finishing for SpeCial. SpeCial did supply block Classic, at least for the time being. But one of those medevacs did go down, and that was a very nice pickup there by Classic, kind of going an eye for an eye, so to speak. Does look like we are going to see that 4th base command center going down at this point in the game. It does look like SpeCial may very well go for another drop, and now we're seeing Classic returning home. So I don't know what Classic saw that was worrying him. He must think that there's going to be some form of drop play, and now we are going to see that Widow Mine does hit one of those stalkers. It does look like one of these stalkers is going to start moving to try to see if he can figure out if there's going to be any more drop play at this stage in the game. Now, it does look like these Marauders are going to catch one of those stalkers off guard. Getting a couple practically for free, and this is keeping the entire Protoss army at home. Exactly what this is exactly what our Terran player wants to do. SpeCial is kind of splitting up his army in multiple areas of the map, and this is what he does so well. Splits up his army, and then he goes for massive amounts of drops. And that's exactly what you want to do. Start hitting at multiple places at once. We are going to see Storm being researched right now out of the Templar archives, and I'm surprised Classic hasn't gone for somewhat of some counter drop play of his own. I'm really surprised about that, at least at this point. We are seeing High Templar coming out currently onto that playing field. And it does look like that 3rd Nexus is going to start going down here. So the longer this game goes, it could be very much so in favor of our Protoss player. But as I'm saying that, it does look like our Terran player is trying very hard to kind of get some good positioning on this his Protoss opponent. These disruptors are very scary against ground-based units, though, and you gotta be so careful when you're moving into Protoss territory at this stage of the game. And it does look like there might very well be a little bit of some more disruptor. It's trying to get some of those. Beautiful splits so far by SpeCial. I don't know if I'm really feeling this engagement for him, though, because Classic has a very scary army that can really take, a couple of good disruptors could take out this entire army with relative ease. And here we go. It does look like SpeCial wants to be in a good position at this point in the game. Beautiful storms right on top of all of those siege tanks. It looks like Classic is absolutely overwhelming this army right now. Beautiful play here by Classic, absolutely going after, taking the fight to the Terran opponent. And somehow, some way, though, SpeCial is actually in the lead here. It does look like this drop play is really doing, paying off dividends. Classic is trying to kind of continue this onward aggression onto the Terran side of the map, and I think he's gotten a little bit too much at this point. Even though SpeCial has a supply lead right now, these disruptors could be detrimental. Absolutely, could be absolutely devastating. You have to be so careful. Most of the disruptors are gone at this point, but what I really think is helping SpeCial at this point is really the drop play. But as I'm saying this, it does look like Classic is going to start moving in to that 3rd base location, and another Warpin is coming. We are going to see more and more Zealots as well as High Templar that are coming to join the fight. Immortals, Stalkers, Zealots, Sentries. Absolutely devastating army. Beautiful disruptor. You do not want to lose this disruptor, though. That disruptor is really helpful at this point, or you don't want to lose these High Templar either. I just think there's a little bit too much Protoss. Another massive Warpin is coming in. We're approaching the 14.5-minute mark. Can our Terran player hold on a little bit longer? The longer this game goes, SpeCial might be able to actually break through. He's got another base that's down, this would be his 5th base location. So the longer this game goes, SpeCial may have a booming economy versus even though there's a very good economy for the Protoss player. I mean, he's on 4 bases right now, so that's very scary. But, you know, I think really what SpeCial needs to do is maybe kind of go for, you know, some you know, air-based units possibly. I mean, I don't know. He's got, you know, he's very, you know, dedicating so much to the ground-based attack, whereas, you know, this Protoss Death Ball is coming across the map to, you know, I mean, we're talking High Templar, Immortals, Disruptors. I mean, these are some of the scariest ground-based units that you can go up against. And we're talking a 5th base is now about to go up for our Protoss player. And the longer this goes, Classic is going to have such a huge economy and advantage over his opponent. The draw play by SpeCial is really keeping him in this game, I believe, so far. But I just think that there is just so much Protoss that is coming across the map right now, and it's going to be at this 5th base location. And there are a lot of siege tanks out. These siege tanks can do absolutely huge amounts of damage, but at the same time, the blinked stalkers coming in here, and here we go. There are going to be some of those Immortals that are going to be taking a lot of hits from all these siege tanks. The siege tanks are absolutely doing so much damage, but at the same time, the question remains, is there enough Protoss? And somehow, some way, SpeCial just won that engagement by almost a mile. Absolutely huge engagement. And I was kind of worried there for a second when I saw Classic moving into this like death ball of SpeCial's own, which is a bunch of siege tanks. That could have been absolutely detrimental for SpeCial now. If SpeCial, or I should say not to SpeCial, but to Classic. Classic is now going to be in a very difficult position. He's got to try to claw his way back into this game, and SpeCial now knows he won that engagement. He's going to start the massive draw play and trying to hit all of these higher tier tech units. He's going after the Forge once again. He's going after numerous, you know, tech structures. Not doing really the damage that's really needed at this point, but at the same time, this is keeping the Protoss player on his toes at home, which is what SpeCial has done so well. And these siege tanks, there are so many siege tanks coming, you know, to try to close out this game right here and right now. SpeCial might be, you know, going in for the, you know, the killing blow, essentially. It does look like a lot of these units are going to, you know, they are going to activate Stimpack. There are going to be a lot of siege tanks over at this side of the map. The question is it going to be enough? I don't know if it is. There is a lot of these siege tanks that are getting picked off, and the engagements are going back and forth between these two players. All of those siege tanks almost going down here. And just like that, Classic, it feels like, just won that engagement. Obviously, won that engagement by clearing out essentially all of those siege tanks. But I'm starting to get worried here for our Protoss player. I mean, is he going to have enough to kind of climb his way, or really fight his way back into this game? There is just, you know, the economy of SpeCial is just insane right now. He's got more and more siege tanks that are coming now. He's going to have to, you know, back off, but these siege tanks are in beautiful positions. Once again, we have another planetary fortress down at the, you know, down in this portion of the map here, bottom middle, and then you got another base that's about to go up for SpeCial. SpeCial is playing this thing brilliantly right now, and I think that he's definitely got the advantage. The question is how long is he going to have the advantage at this point? Because you've got, you know, 5 bases for the Protoss. That is giving, you know, I would be very concerned right now, because this Protoss army at this point in the game can really, on 5 bases, 5 mining bases, can really replenish this army relatively quickly, even though it's very, you know, it's very cost effective. It can be, this could become a, you know, a scary type of situation for our Protoss player, or I should say our Terran player as well, because the longer this game goes and you allow Classic to get back into this game, that's where there could very well be some problems. And it does look like a couple of these Adepts are going to try to get as much value as they can right now out of these units. And we are going to see the Adepts. The Adepts are going to be moving in different areas of the map. There is just not much here. Lots of SCVs are starting to go down, and this is exactly what Classic needs to do in order to get back into this game. He has to do this, and here we go. The question is now, is there going to be enough for SpeCial? SpeCial was moving a little bit too far. Beautiful pickup micro, though. They are going to get one of those medevacs that were carrying 2 siege tanks, and Classic somehow, someway is moving back into this game. I cannot believe what I am seeing out of Classic right now. He is slowly but surely clawing and fighting his way back into this game. That SpeCial, it's SpeCial's to really lose right now. I mean, he has this game. He's got Ghost now out, and that's going to be very, very crucial. You know, getting some snipes on some of these, you know, higher tier, you know, high Templars as well as the Immortals would be absolutely huge. But here we go. Once again, SpeCial's not really taking the engagements that he really wants to. And these, oh, and these beautiful storms at this point are just absolutely on point. Beautiful storms there. But now the question that remains, now that all, you know, both players are essentially getting fully upgraded, you know, these storms are starting to become really scary, and something that our Terran player needs to figure out very quickly, because there's not a whole lot of siege tanks now that we do have a lot of blue moving across the map. But I just don't know. The longer this game goes, Classic, I'm starting to feel like a shift in momentum. He is absolutely still in this game. And he's trying to get it, you know, trying to get back into this game, trying to claw his way back in, doing an incredible job. And these snipes here, you do not want to lose those ghosts for free, though. We are going to start seeing a couple of these War Prisms are going to be full of some High Templar. I'm wondering if he's going to go for some High Templar drops across the map, which was something we definitely need to keep an eye on, because some of those High Templar drops could be absolutely devastating to have to deal with if you are SpeCial. So it does look like this War Prism is trying to get in a position to maybe just drop a bunch of storms on top of all these siege tanks. And I don't think our Terran player does not know about this right now, and this could really hurt if he loses a bunch of these siege tanks. It looks like he's going in. Oh, and he's kind of a little, not really, you know, doesn't know exactly what he should do as of yet. Does look like that War Prism is going to go down, and the fight is happening. The swarm of all of these Protoss units are coming after the Terran, but it looks like once again, SpeCial might just have a little bit too much. Beautiful storms, though. Once again, these siege tanks are doing so much for our Terran player. And just like that, once again, Classic, it seems like he traded pretty well, but maybe, just maybe, he is still somehow in this game. And SpeCial looks like he's going to go back home and is going to try to figure out a better game plan. We're approaching the 23.5-minute mark here, guys, and this is intense. I mean, there is stuff going on all over the map. And you know, to be honest, it's hard to tell. You know, there are moments where SpeCial seems like he's definitely on top. Then there's moments where you got Classic definitely feels like he's on top. So it's very, very tough to really be able to tell who is on top here. They are going to go right after this planetary fortress. Are they going to get it, though? They do get it. Beautiful pickup there by Classic. You know, trying to just kind of slowly but surely do some damage of his own against this Terran opponent. And now, Classic, or I should say SpeCial, is going to have to, once again, get, you know, another base, you know, flying over to this location. And it does look like the Dark Shrine switch. I love this idea here by Classic, going ahead and getting some Dark Templar out, and the possibility of you know, maybe getting a lot of kills in one of the main bases that are mining for SpeCial could be absolutely huge. But at the same time, a lot of damage is being dealt here over at the third base location, going after that Templar Archives. This could be bad. And just like that, though, we are going to see what looks like, you know, a pretty nice pickup there by SpeCial. Now, the question is, could this Dark Shrine switch turn the tides of battle against, you know, I mean, obviously against this Terran player that has no idea that this is coming? And we're probably going to, you know, more and more ghosts are going to be coming out as well. And I'm wondering if Classic is going to try to hit from a couple of angles at once, maybe going after, you know, a bunch of units, you know, with the Dark Templar on one side of the map, and on the opposite side going after, you know, trying to hit you know, hit from just a couple of angles at once. Multiple scans are going to reveal, you know, that where is this army? Now, it does look like we might have somewhat of an interesting dilemma here, because both players are at the opposite sides of their maps, and it does look like SpeCial is going to continue, you know, he's going to start moving in sooner than the Protoss player. But just like that, beautiful storms on all of these units as he is trying to get as much damage dealt here as possible. We may have ourselves a base race. It looks like SpeCial is getting a lot of damage in, though, getting so many probe kills. Unbelievable. At the same time, we do have Classic on the opposite side of the map that is doing a lot of damage to these tier units, and it does look like SpeCial is going to have to go back home. Wow, there is just so much happening all over the map. This is what I call a incredible ZVT matchup. They are just going after so many of these tech structures. And at this point in the game, SpeCial is still ahead, and he knows it. And that's why he came back home. He knows he's ahead, and all he's got to do is pick up some of these units, because there is no air-based units of Classic so far. I mean, we're approaching 27 minutes into this game, and SpeCial is in such a great position right now to kind of trap this army should it try to, you know, retreat, essentially. Now, he could do the mass recall, but that being said, these ghosts are doing a lot of damage. Beautiful damage. It does look like they are going to go for the mass recall right now, but I don't know if there's going to be enough here. There is just a massive army of SpeCials here awaiting this army composition. There are some, you know, of course, a Dark Templar still, but I don't know what I think about this, because the GGs come in, and SpeCial, slowly but surely, after over 27 minutes of play, is able to eventually overwhelm his opponent. I hope you guys did enjoy this game between SpeCial and Classic, and if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace.